All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to you sincere and hopefully like I can push in the word of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, in spirit and in truth. Ma'ah Arabayim Arabai Alap, which is to say 144,000. And Allah Shwan Kodash, shalom to you. In this lesson, I want to get into Trump's potential impeachment could lead to pretty much, a further and objective trouble or great wrath. That great wrath talked about in Revelation. All right, so because there's already talks of him getting impeached. All right, you got midterm elections coming up this year, and majority of Americans are not, happy with what he's done within the last year and some change. Less than a year and a half. Most Americans disapprove of Donald Trump. All right, he has a high disapproval rating. So I was listening to this video at work earlier, and there was something that was mentioned, and it got me to thinking that this could lead to, with all this impeachment talk, this could lead to great wrath coming down on behalf of that administration, because he doesn't want to get pretty much impeached or booted out of office. So it would make sense for him to crash out, to just go on a crash out mission and go for the gusto, knowing that you got a potential impeachment that you're gonna be dealing with. All right, and this is just me through the Spirit speaking. Not saying this is actually gonna happen, but it makes sense. That he would just smash the gas and go full throttle with his New World Order plans. All right, his national security strategy plans. All right, in which another thing too, which brothers know, Donald, his name actually means world rule. All right, the name Donald actually means world rule. So, he thinks that he's gonna rule the world, man. All right, he knows what his name, what his name means. All right. So being that, say for instance, they got the ball rolling on impeaching him, this dude he gonna crash out. All right, so I'm gonna play this little snippet here, and then grab a couple of precepts.
Ladder to climb out of this war. Now, talking about the escalation first, my view is that President Trump and the United States will be damned if it escalates. They will be damned if they don't escalate. Why? If they don't escalate, the United States hegemony in the Middle East, all the images of the United States as an invisible army, for example, will be washed away. But if it does escalate, it will be damned. Why? Because the midterm election is starting very soon, and all the indications seem to indicate that the Republicans may lose either the House of Representatives or even the Senate. If it does happen, President Trump will be a lame duck president on January the 20th, 2027. And he will not be in a position to deliver whatever he promised to those supporters of his, for example. And he may be worried about getting impeached or whatever possibilities that may.
You see that? So if he loses if he loses the House, as he said, all right, he has worries of being impeached. So he'd be a sitting duck, all right, which we don't know what the Lord got planned, for that dude in particular, whether he's going to be impeached or not in that regard. But, um, you know,
And if the United States escalates, the oil price will go through the roof, and the Americans most likely will vote with their foot, and the U.S. economy will be plunging into a recession, and it may trigger the financial crisis, which may be one of the largest in scale and in terms of the toxicity, for example. So I think President Trump will be damned if it does escalate, damned if it does not escalate, and how he would balance off this dilemma and get out of it will be probably the biggest challenge President Donald Trump is facing throughout his 80 years of life in this world.
all right, yeah, there you have it. All right, so he mentioned that impeachment. All right, so this is just from Google. All right, it says well, I typed in, are people moving for Trump to be impeached? And it says, as of April 2026, there is significant movement and growing public support for impeachment or impeaching President Donald Trump, during his second term. Polls indicate that a majority of Americans, around 55%, supporting impeaching him, with high, unprecedented disapproval levels early in his term. Key aspects of the movement, it says, public and political pressure. More than 1 million Americans have signed petitions urging Congress to impeach and remove him, with high support for this action. Among independents, 55% support congressional action. Some Democratic lawmakers are actively calling for impeachment or removal via the 25th Amendment. Republican Sri Thanagar, Democrat, Michigan 13, introduced a resolution, House Resolution 353, in April 2025, which was referred to the House Judiciary, that's a tongue twister for me, Judiciary Committee, and other members like Jasmine Crockett have called for him to be declared unfit, which is spot on, because that dude he's not fit to be the president. All right, he has severe mental issues. All right. It says ground for impeachment. It says arguments for impeachment are centered on allegations of abusing his role as commander-in-chief, violating constitutional rights, and militarizing law enforcement, which is all true. He's done all these things. Okay, you got ICE just snatching people up, arresting them, taking them to concentration camps, raping them. All right, a lot of those females that get, young women that get arrested and taken to those concentration camps get raped by those ICE soldiers. All right. It says regional activism. It says grassroots organizations such as in Western Massachusetts have delivered thousands of signatures to congressmen demanding action. Opposition. Despite the momentum, a significant portion of the public, particularly Republicans, roughly 72 to 81%, oppose these efforts. Which, how true that is, we don't know. So let me grab my first precept. And this is Revelation 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, so, this whole so-called New World Order that Esau is trying to get set up, and that's on, all fronts. Every nation currently is contributing something to that NWO. All right, and Esau is a mastermind behind all the all the delusion that these nations have consumed and actually have put their hand in laboring to bring about that New World Order. Okay, and so they're gonna go into warp speed, knowing that they have but a short time. All these so-called UFO researchers that have died recently, I believe it's been 11 or 12 so-called UFO researchers that have died just back to back to back. There's no coincidence that they're getting killed. All right, because Esau doesn't want anybody bringing out the truth of the chariots. All right, what the world ignorantly calls UFOs, those are the chariots that the angels travel in. So especially on the side of Esau, he doesn't want his own people bringing out the fact that those chariots really are, vehicles in which, so-called black men travel in. All right, so the point being that them dying, getting killed, shows that Esau's about to come down with that great wrath because he knows his time is almost up. All right, and then along with that, this nigga is bringing back the firing squad or the so-called inhumane forms of the death penalty. All right, so this is on DeepSeek, and I typed in, explain to me the U.S. government wanting to bring back old forms of the death penalty. And it says, the recent push by the Department of Justice to authorize firing squads, electrocution, and gas chambers is a practical move to work around a major problem. The nation can no longer reliably get lethal. It says a practical move to work around a major problem. The nation can no longer reliably get lethal injection drugs. All right. Here's a breakdown of why this is happening in the debate surrounding it. It says the practical reason: drug shortage. For years, European pharmaceutical companies blocked the sale of drugs used in lethal injections because they oppose capital punishment. The Department of Justice memo explicitly states that expanding methods will help ensure the department is prepared to carry out lawful executions even if a specific drug is unavailable. All right, so shit that the cocktail that they pretty much blend together and hit these people with in the form of lethal injection, some of those drugs, even the Europeans, knowing that America is using those drugs for that purpose, is like, nah, we ain't selling that. All right, we gonna block the sale of it because we don't approve of that. Showing you how inhumane Babylon the Great is. Okay, it says point 2. It says the political shift, law and order. The Biden administration had placed a moratorium on federal executions, but on day one of his current term, President Trump ordered the Department of Justice to resume them. The Department of Justice argues this strengthens the death penalty for the most dangerous criminals, including terrorists, child murderers, and cop killers. All right, so on day one, when Trump got in office, he did away with what it was that Biden did. All right, he totally reversed it. All right, point three, it says the legal rationale, unchallenged methods. The Department of Justice argues these aren't really old or cruel methods in the eyes of the law. They note that the Supreme Court has never ruled a specific method unconstitutional, and that methods like electrocution, and firing squads are still used by several states. All right, so certain states you go to, you might get hit with a firing squad. All right, as a form of the death penalty. And as you see here, it says 5 states currently authorize this method. Okay, Idaho, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and Utah. All right, so point four says the criticism, cruel and morbid. Opponents call the move a step backward. Critics argue barbarism. It says Senator Dick Durbin called it cruel, immoral, and discriminatory. Botched procedures. Recent executions like the 2025 firing squad in South Carolina show bullets sometimes miss the heart. In which, come on, man, you got trained snipers. All right, trained police officers or whatever, whoever's executing that. And if I'm not mistaken, they have it's a couple people that actually take the shot to ensure that they actually hit the heart. But they probably talk to each other and beforehand, and depending on who it is, they'll miss the heart on purpose, to cause excruciating conscious pain for up to a minute. All right, so Esau's the devil, man. Here it is, you're supposed to get shot in the heart by a couple of different firearms, so that way your death can be instantaneous. Yet they'll botch it on purpose, so you can stay alive, feeling pain for a minute. All right, the devil. It says secrecy. There are concerns that states are using expired drugs or incorrect doses, which they keep secret from the public. And now, once again, they do that on purpose. Incorrect dosage. Well, I'm gonna put a whole bunch in this one, or I'm gonna put. I ain't gonna put enough in this one. Demonic, man. It says, is this actually happening? Some states are already leading the way. Alabama recently used nitrogen gas, and Florida has laid the groundwork to adopt these methods if lethal injection becomes unavailable. All right, so there you have it, man. So that's going to lead to great wrath, man. All this, the president bringing back those forms of the death penalty. All right, let's not forget the guillotine. Let's not forget that. That's letting you know that Esau is going to come down with great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. All right, along with him potentially being impeached. All right, he going to hit the gas, man. He going to crash out. Abaratazah. And while all that happens, ultimately, what's going to take place is Daniel 12 and 1, which reads, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. So we pray that we are written in the book and that we're able to be delivered and protected and escape the demonic will of Esau, Edom. Okay? So it's going to be a time like never before, man. All right? And that's why we need the Lord with us. That's as Elder Yashawamba mentioned in one of his recent news and prophecies. You know, we need, I believe he's going into the AI and the data centers. We need the Lord, man, because the plans that Esau has is, we can see why Yahushua said there'd be no flesh left to be saved. So the Most High has to cut the time short, you know. So that is pretty much the lesson. You know, Abu Razazah, this was edifying. Until next time, Shalom.